All right, morning, afternoon, greetings, and welcome to yet another video. In this video, I don't really have much to say, I don't have much to add, but I'll try to go over the charts the way I would have done it when I'm looking for a directional bias going into next week. So initially, I was going to go through the charts with you guys and break down what I'm expecting moving forward in this week, but honestly, I've spent the whole weekend trying to figure out a direction for most of these charts, and I don't see anything clear. And sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes you might not see anything clear. It might just so happen to be clear next going into the week, you know, after CPI or something. We might get better structure going into the week, but right now I don't see too much, but I'm going to try and break down whatever I see. That's why this video will not be structured in any way. So starting off with the dollar index, last week we traded into the weekly fair value gap, as well as the area that I've been eyeing for so long, which is that 1 hour order block. Let's highlight it. So this is the body that I wanted, and that's the low of the order block, right? So I wanted to see us tap into this order block with fair value gap and a possible rejection from this area. This was my area of interest, my point of interest going into going into Friday's NFP. So Friday came, NFP basically just consolidated. We didn't really do much during NFP. This is not good price action. This is not something I find enticing. So going into next week, I'm still remaining bullish. I'm still expecting higher prices from here, going to those equal highs up there, and of course the external highs up here. And this is something I'm willing to give a try on USD Swiss, but we'll get to that in a moment. The only thing is, right now I would like to see this new day opening gap that we have right here, when we closed at that low and opened at that low right there. We have a new day opening gap. I wanted to see if price could trade up during NFP. Actually, I wanted to see if price could trade up and close above it, so we could use it as a possible support to push up. But then price closed below. We didn't respect the weekly gap at all. We actually closed below the weekly gap as well, right there. We closed below it right there. So yeah, these conditions for me are not the highest probability conditions, even though it's something that I'm still willing to see how it plays out. That's why I say right now that I don't have anything to add. I don't have any directional bias, but now that we have finally traded into the 1 hour order block that I've been looking for so long, I would say watch to see if we can close above this high, this swing high, inside of this new day opening gap. Then if we do see price support this new day opening gap, then we could see a continuation higher. But going to next week, we might first see a liquidity sweep to the downside. Firstly, we might see a sweep going down, then see something like this, before a continuation higher. So just watch out for a possible sweep of liquidity somewhere at the lows. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting going into next week. The thing is, this idea is sort of contradicted when we switch over to GBPUSD. On GBPUSD, I am extremely bullish this month because of seasonal tendency. When you go to your seasonal tendency chart, you would know exactly what I mean, but I'm not going to show that in this video. So we've tapped the weekly fair value gap and order block right there, and you can see our price is actually failing to close below the body of this order block, as well as the daily fair value gap as well right there. So let's do this properly. The daily fair value gap here as well, we failed to close below the consequent encroachment of it. And right now, with the way price is moving on GBP, we can already see that it looks to be, it has intention to go for that buy side liquidity. And going into next week, we actually, firstly, we broke this high, and that could be considered a market structure shift. Then we have a fair value gap within that swing high. If a swing high that was broken by a fair value gap, for me, is high probability. So we could see price probably tap into this and continue higher to sweep that buy side liquidity. You see, and this idea on its own already shows that it's contradicting my bullish bias on the dollar index. This is why I say this is a low probability setup or weak so far, even though the GU is looking extremely bullish. When we turn over to the dollar, at the same time we have relative equal highs up there and up there. So it makes me not too confident to know, because I wouldn't be selling this when we have those equal highs up there. And at the same time, we could go for these lows first before going for those highs. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a 50-50 area for me right now, and that makes me not too confident in the directional bias. When we do turn over to USD Swiss, I am expecting price to reject anywhere from this area. We have this fair value gap here. We have this other block here as well. Remember, I just mentioned now that I'm looking for higher prices on DXY. So we could see a reaction from this other block or this fair value gap on the daily time frame. When we move out to the weekly, you would see where our directional bias comes from. It's an internal to external range liquidity move. I tried to measure the range before the stream and I saw we couldn't even trade down into discount, but then I realized there's no reason for us to trade down into discount, because to me this tiny fair value gap could be considered an immediate rebalance. I say it's tiny because I mean, look at, that's the gap. That's how small the gap is on a monthly chart. So yeah, I could consider this to be an immediate rebalance and just pretend they actually met. But yeah, and then the second reason I'm thinking we're bullish is because of the way the monthly candle closed in the previous month with such a huge rejection away from the lows. So this makes me look for a daily confirmation, because we're dealing with a monthly PDRA. On the daily, we've now traded into discount of the recent range, which is this swing low to that swing high. The only fair value gap I see in discount is this one and this other block. So I'm expecting this to hold for higher prices. In other words, my longer term setup would look something like this: a market buy where it is right now, stop loss at the swing low right there, and TPs at the external range liquidity highs up there. So yeah, I'll be expecting something like this, especially this week that we have CPI. But again, anything and everything is possible here, so I'm open to that possibility. The next chart that I have in mind, because I wasn't able to distinguish whether I want to buy GU or be selling it, or maybe try and be selling EU instead, Euro, I could not find the proper direction. I thought, why not, for the first time ever, trade the strength indicator, the cross pair. One thing that we are sure about between EU and GU is that right now GU is much more bullish, much more strong. I mean, look how close we are to taking this high from the 12th of July. When we switch over to EU, the 12th of July, oh, 12th of July is actually right here, but the high of the cycle is over there, because this was the high that made the SMT. But yeah, the high of the cycle is over there, and I would say that the euro is currently weaker than GBP. And when we go to euro dollar, I mean euro GBP, the strength indicator, we can see sort of an internal to external range move forming here. We have a weekly PDRA that could go for this swing high, I mean swing low right there, but we could first go for this one before this low, before going for that swing low. When we are working with a weekly PD array, we look for a 4-hour confirmation. On the 4-hour chart, so far we have been respecting this CB right there, this fair value gap right there. We came and tapped into it once. I did want to see us sweep this high inside of a PD array, but we can see we just came and just made relative equal highs instead of sweeping it. So I would have preferred a sweep before this displacement personally. I still think we might get that sweep, but if price is going to continue pushing lower, then we could watch for a possible reversal within this fair value gap right here. This 4-hour gap could hold price lower, because this technically is the first 4-hour fair value gap, then this is the next one, so we could see a continuation lower. When I grade this possible market maker sell model, we can see that the 25%, which is the low risk sell in this case, is around here. That's the 25%, right? So this to me could be considered the low risk sell, and I think we might get a continuation from here. So yeah, we have that, we have EURJPY. And I think the other chart that I found a bit interesting was CAD Swiss. CAD Swiss, to put the long story short, I'd like to see price push up into this 4-hour fair value gap, which is within the daily inverted gap. This daily inverted fair value gap, and I'm expecting that sell side to be pushed. The reason is just because of the CAD weakness right now. If you look at any CAD crosses, you see that they are pushing higher, like AUD CAD pushing massively bullish, Euro CAD doing the same. Euro CAD actually might come back to retest this order block right there and then continue higher. It would be nice if this order block has a fair value gap here as well. So seeing something like this during the week would be real nice, because we could expect to see a possible pull back down into the gap and order block, then a continuation to those relative equal highs. So yeah, CAD crosses to me look nice also. So because of that, I'm looking for the opposite on CAD Swiss. Could see a push up into there and then push down back here. Even though I'm still bullish on Swiss crosses overall, I'm still looking for higher prices. Short term, we might see a push back down into this range, then continue higher. Should also keep in mind that we have this daily order block right there. Price pushed up into it from there to there. That's where price is rejecting from. On the 1 hour, I don't think we actually got, oh, we did get an entry that then I didn't take it. We got this entry after CPI came out for Swiss and we pushed down, we created this fair value gap. I was tempted to take this entry and take the TP here, but I didn't take it. And in hindsight, I actually could have, when we closed below this low to confirm a shift in structure, this fair value gap could have been an entry, because we tapped into it once right there and then we came and swept liquidity the second time. This was a very nice entry. I like that we came and swept liquidity a second time before pushing lower, and I think this happened during NFP news release. So yeah, this was real nice to drive price lower, but I wasn't paying attention to this. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to this. Anyway, so this is the daily PD array that we're dealing with, the daily order block. We got a displacement, now we have inverted this gap, so I decided to go down a time frame, and yeah, I could only see this 4-hour premium gap if it can retrace that back up into that to complete the market maker sell model. So yeah, that's that. I'm sorry for being a bit all over the place in this video, but nothing was planned here and I'm not really seeing anything that's the highest probability, especially looking at the economic calendar going into next week. But these are my expectations. On gold, the two areas that I'm watching, but the most sensitive area that I'm watching is this flat body highs. I'm watching this area as a possible place price could use to use as support for higher prices, but especially the bodies right there. I'm expecting those bodies to make the low of the week. Then we could see price disrespect this daily CB and continue till the buy side liquidity. Another place to watch out is right there, the rejection block residing over there. It doesn't look like much here, but on a lower time frame, I promise you, it's actually a critical level right there. So yeah, I'm watching for a possibility of price rejecting this, pushing down, rejection of the highs, probably retrace a bit, then go for the buy side liquidity. But I'm watching these two areas as an area of resistance, and here's an area of support. I don't know what's going to happen in the middle, but critical levels for me. Critical levels. Let's set an alert here. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting on gold next week. I think that's all I have for now. If you have any charts that you would like me to look into, if you have any charts that you might find interesting, please do let me know, because I don't see much at the moment. Nothing really jumps out at me yet, so yeah, if you have anything, let me know in the comment section below. For now, look after yourselves, take care, good luck, and good trading.